I'm excited to chat about some new books coming out in June. I do this every month, so if you want to see anything that came out January through May, I will have that linked in the description. I have 16 books to talk to you about today. Most of them are horror and thriller, and I think I have some sci-fi in here. I don't have a lot of other genres that I have to talk about this month. So let's just get into it. Starting off on June 1st, we have my Ex the Antichrist by Craig DeLuey. This is horror, and it looks like it has some thriller in it as well. When a rock musician learns her ex-boyfriend is the biblical Antichrist, she must find a way to stop him before he grows powerful enough to end the world. Daisy Jones and the Six meets the Omen in this novel about music, love, free will, and the apocalypse. At the end of 1999, the Shivers fought Universal Priest in the Armageddon Battle of the Bands in Bethlehem, PA. What started the riot that claimed the lives of 9 teens and left dozens more battered and bruised? In 2010, the Shivers frontwoman Lily Lawless walked into a police station to confess to murder. Why did she do it, and why did she wait 10 years to confess? The punk band broke up after Lily's arrest, its members refusing to talk to the press. What secrets were they protecting? And who really was Drake Morgan, one-time frontman for the Shivers, who went on to form dystopian rock band Universal Priest? In the oral history, the members of the Shivers finally tell all about how a rock band that inspired a generation might have saved the world. I've enjoyed from Craig DeLuey. I've been confused by some of the things that Craig DeLuey has done. I think this one seems very interesting, and seeing a horror book that is said to be compared to Daisy Jones and the Six is hilarious. Moving to June 3rd, we have The Ghostwriter by Julie Clark. This is a thriller with some mystery in it. Ghostwriter Olivia Dermont has spent her entire professional life hiding the fact that she is the only child of legendary horror author Vincent Taylor, famous not only for his novels, but for being the prime suspect in the brutal slaying of his siblings. On the brink of financial ruin, Olivia reluctantly agrees to ghostwrite her father's last book, not realizing she will be forced to reckon with the ghosts that live at the center of her family. I've enjoyed from Julie Clark previously. This one has a really pretty edition with sprayed edges coming out. It has a pretty high rating for early reviews as well. Then we have Meet Me at the Crossroads by Megan Giddings. This one is a blend of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. I have previously read Lakewood and The Woman Could Fly by this author, so excited for this one. On an ordinary summer morning, the world is changed by the appearance of 7 mysterious doors that seemingly lead to another world. People are, of course, mesmerized and intrigued. A new dimension filled with beauty and resources beckon them to step into an adventure, but perhaps inevitably, people soon learn that what looks like paradise may very well be filled with danger. Ayana and Olivia, 2 Black Midwestern teens and twin sisters, have different ideas of what may lie in the world beyond. But will their personal bond ensure such wanton exploration? And when one of them goes missing, will the other find solace of her own? And will she uncover the circumstances of what truly happened to her once constant companion and best friend? Next, we have Sister Butcher Sister by K.D. Alden. This is a debut. This one is a thriller. 3 sisters, 1 killer. Which one is she? The Rolling sisters have always been people you can understand, with partners and children, homes and dreams. And secrets. The sisters have those too. But when Kate, the eldest, finally returns to buy her late grandfather's home, the dark things each sister has kept buried soon rise to the surface. Is Kate having unexplained visions tied to the past she can hardly recall? Is Aurora, the married mother of 2, finally acting out in the face of her sister's indiscretions? Is Peggy, now I'm thinking of Hamilton, the youngest and recovering addict, able to move on from the memories that haunt her? And then there's she, which is in all caps. She is one of them, but she is not like all of them. She is defined only by the carnage she lets the world see, the murders that have swept through their coastal community, and the police close in on their newest serial killer. Scrutiny lands on the Rollings, forcing them to face their demons and reveal all they have kept hidden. What does that mean? Then we are moving to June 10th. We have another thriller, Kill Your Darlings by Peter Swanson. Tom and Wendy Graves have been married over 25 years. They live in a beautiful Victorian on the North Shore of Massachusetts. Wendy is a published poet, and Tom teaches English literature at a nearby university. Their son, Jason, is all grown up. All is well, except that Wendy wants to murder her husband. What happens next has everything to do with what happened before. The story of Wendy and Tom's marriage is told in reverse, moving backward through time to witness key moments from the couple's lives: their 50th birthday party, buying their home, Jason's birth, the mysterious death of a work colleague, all painting a portrait of a marriage defined by a single terrible act they plotted together many years ago. Eventually, we learn the details of what Tom and Wendy did in their early 20s, a secret that has bound them together through the length of their marriage. But its power over them is fraying, and each of them begins to wonder if they would be better off making sure their spouse carries their secrets to the grave. I personally am glad that he is not writing in the Kind Worth Killing series anymore. I love the first one. The other two, no. And it kind of sounds a little bit like Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister, which I loved. Then we have King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. This one looks to be a crime thriller and a dazzling family drama, apparently. When eldest son Roman Carruthers is summoned home after his father's car accident, he finds his younger brother Dante in debt to dangerous criminals and his sister Nevia exhausted from holding the family and the family business together. Nevia and her father, who run the Carruthers Crematorium in the rundown central Virginia town of Jefferson Run, see death up close every day. But mortality draws even closer when it becomes clear that the crash that landed their father in a coma was no accident, and Dante's recklessness has placed them all in real danger. Roman, a financial whiz with a head for numbers and a talent for making his clients rich, has some money to help buy his brother out of trouble. But in work with wannabe tough guys, he's forgotten that there are real gangsters out there. As his bargaining chips go up in smoke, Roman realizes that he has only one thing left to offer to save himself, and his own particular set of skills. Roman begins his work for the criminals when Nevia tries to uncover the long-ago mystery of what happened to their mother, who disappeared when they were teenagers. But Roman is far less of a pushover than the gangsters realize. He's willing to do anything to save his family. Anything. Because everything burns. Next up is a mystery thriller with a Vengeance by Riley Sager. One train, no stops, a deadly game of survival and revenge. This seems to lean on the one-by-one trope. In 1942, 6 people destroyed Anna Matheson's family. 12 years later, she's ready for retribution. Under false pretenses, Anna has lured those responsible for her family's downfall onto a luxury train from Philadelphia to Chicago, an overnight journey of 14 hours. Her goal, confront the people who've wronged her, get them to confess their crimes, and deliver them into the hands of authorities waiting at the end of the line. Justice will at last be served. But Anna's plan is quickly derailed, by the murder of one of the passengers. As the train barrels through the night, it becomes clear that someone else on board is enacting their own form of revenge, and that they won't stop until everyone else is dead. With time running out before the train reaches its destination, Anna is forced to hunt the killer in their midst while protecting the people she hates the most. In order to destroy her enemies, she must first save them, even though it means putting her own life at risk. Lastly, on June 10th, we have The Bachelorette Party by Camilla Sten. This is another thriller. It says Scream meets The Guest List. Interesting. On a remote, craggy island nestled off the coast of Sweden, 4 friends, Tilly, Anna, Leanna, and Evelina, meet every year. Best friends since childhood, the idea is to drink beer, dance by the water, and shake off the weight of life's expectations. The location of the island is secret to everyone but them. One night of reckless fun and secret sharing, and then they return to their normal lives. 10 years later, ever since she was a teenager, Tessa Nilsson has been consumed by the story of 4 friends who disappeared on their annual trip to a remote island together. As her true crime fervor turned into a wildly popular podcast, Tessa urgently covered Sweden's most gruesome cases, but could never find the answers behind what happened to these women who disappeared, leaving a few maddening clues but no concrete answers. Now, Tessa's podcast has crashed and burned, any chance she had at uncovering the truth vanishing with it. Oh, we are following a lot of people. Annalise is Tessa's best friend, and before she walks down the aisle, she wants to have a bachelorette party. Oh, okay, here we go. The Baltic Vinyasa, a sleek, sophisticated yoga retreat on a small island off the coast. One with such similar characteristics to the tragedy years ago that it raises the hair on Tessa's neck. The idea is to drink gallons of kava, do sunrise yoga, and get in their last chance to bond with the bride. Tessa will not pass this up. It's her last chance to find out what happened to the 4 women once and for all, and it's someone else's last chance to get revenge. Moving to June 17th, we have a cozy mystery thriller, Murder Takes a Vacation by Laura Lippman. This author looks to write some more thrillers and some more mysteries. Oh, this synopsis is really long. I'm not reading the whole thing. 8 days, 7 nights, 1 dead body. It's an irresistible mystery following Muriel, a former private investigator and middle-aged widow whose vacation on a Parisian river cruise turns into a deadly international mystery that only she can solve. She's a very practical by-the-books character, but she's determined to feel like her life isn't passing her by anymore, so she books this cruise. Then she meets this guy who she seems to have a connection with, then he turns up dead. And then there's accusations of transporting a stolen item, and she decides to figure it out herself. I think it's fun to see characters of different age ranges, so I think this one will be fun. Then we have Someone Knows by Vi Keeland. This is a thriller with some mystery, a little bit of romance. This author wrote The Unraveling that came out last year, I believe, but also is a romance author. As a college English professor, Elizabeth looks forward to the start of each new semester teaching her creative writing seminar, at least until she reads one chapter of The Reckoning, a tale about a high school senior who has an affair with her teacher. To anyone else, it would be the beginning of a great page-turner, but to Elizabeth, it is the beginning of the end. She knows the story. It's all familiar because she lived it. The girl in the story was her best friend, Jocelyn, and Elizabeth knows exactly how the story will end, with the professor dead, because she was the one who killed them. Someone knows what Elizabeth did 20 years ago, and her secret is about to be exposed. But who is the mystery student submitting the chapters? In an effort to find out, Elizabeth returns to her Louisiana hometown, where it soon becomes clear that no matter how many years have gone by, she can't escape her past. Then we have The Farmhouse by Chelsea Conrad. This is a horror thriller. Every woman who has lived on this farm has died. Emily just moved in. When Emily Hawk's mother dies, it's time for her and her husband Josh to finally leave San Francisco. A farm in rural Nebraska is everything they want for their fresh start. Clear skies, low costs, and distant from the grief back home. They should have asked why the farm was for sale. 3 years ago, a teenager went missing from the farm. Soon afterward, the girl's mother mysteriously died. The deeper Emily digs, the more stories she uncovers of women connected to her new home who've met their own dark ends. With each passing day, Emily's sanctuary slips further away. The barn seems to move throughout her property as though chasing her. Her mother's favorite music drifts across the cornfield. She swears she saw blood in one of the farmhand's trucks. And the screams that wake her were not fox howls, no matter how many times her husband says they are. If she wants to claim this place as her own, she'll have to find out the truth before whatever watches her from the cornfield takes her too. It looks like this one might be a debut. Next up, we have Don't Open Your Eyes by Liv Constantine. This is a thriller. Annabelle has everything she's ever wanted: a devoted husband, 2 wonderful daughters, and a career she loves. She couldn't be happier, so why is she suddenly plagued by disturbing dreams of a future where she hates her husband and her daughters' lives are at risk? At first, she chalks the dreams up to an overactive imagination, but when details from her dreams, details she couldn't possibly have predicted, begin to materialize, she realizes these aren't just dreams, but rather premonitions of a terrifying future. They all point to a singular choice, an unknown moment that holds Annabelle's life in the balance. Then, Annabelle has a dream that her daughter Scarlet is in immediate danger. Someone wants Scarlet dead, and Annabelle has no idea who or why. Suddenly, every choice she makes is fraught with peril, with no inkling of which move could bring this terrifying vision to life. As her present life starts to collide with the future in her dreams, she wrestles with how much control she really has over her destiny, and whether or not she can change what is meant to be. Lastly, on the 17th, we have I Did Warn Her by Sharon Gilbert. This is a mystery thriller which has the locked room, maybe 1 by 1 trope. The Ophelia is your typical billionaire yacht, ridiculously luxurious, owned by a ruthless money man, and staffed by a crew whose only job is to indulge the guests' every wish. Model gorgeous Sasha is a last-minute hire for a week-long Atlantic crossing. She joins fellow stewardesses Jade, Imogen, Euphemia, and Lola. The Ophelia stewardesses are almost identical, blonde and model gorgeous, and they were all lured to the Ophelia by high wages and a chance to leave their problems behind when they set sail. But despite its sleek opulence, the Ophelia isn't as heavenly as it seems. A stewardess on the previous charter died under mysterious circumstances. The guests' expensive jewelry keeps disappearing, and the crew grows steadily more and more suspicious of one another. Then, the yacht's owner brings aboard his best friend and 2 more women, also beautiful, also hiding something. When a crew member turns up dead after a night of partying, everyone on the yacht is a suspect. Who's the jewel thief? Who's the murderer? What will happen when the lights go out? and the crew and guests are finally on equal footing. Moving to June 24th, starting with Whispers of the Lake by Shannara Williams. This is a psychological thriller. At the peak of her career, investigative reporter Rose Howard is exhausted from trying to manage her seemingly perfect life. With her marriage to her one true love collapsing, she desperately needs to rest, regroup, and decide which way to go next. The direction becomes clear when she discovers that her former best friend, Eve Cassio, isn't responding to attempts to contact her at the North Carolina cottage where she's vacationing. Rose knows Eve can be flaky and irresponsible. That's why they fell out. Still, Rose heads to the tranquil small town of Sage Hill. Rose soon discovers that Eve has vanished without her purse and passport, even after booking a trip abroad. The personable cabin owner's account of Eve's stay just doesn't add up, and most of the town's initial hospitable inhabitants become increasingly less helpful. Rose's instincts tell her the solution lies somewhere in Eve's and Sage Hill's past. To get answers, she'll have to ask inconvenient questions, rattle long-buried skeletons, and face vicious attempts on her life. But some truths are best left alone, and secrets Rose never saw coming could easily sink her and her future without a trace. Then we have Smile for the Cameras by Miranda Smith. This one is horror. 20 years ago, Ella Winters was the it girl. She made a name for herself in Hollywood and throughout America as the final survivor in the cult classic slasher Grad Night. But the real horror is what happened when the cameras weren't rolling. Something terrible that Ella and her co-stars agreed never to speak of again. Shortly after the movie's premiere, Ella disappeared from the acting scene under the pretense of caring for her ailing mother, hoping for a quiet life out of the spotlight and to ease her guilty mind. Now, after her mother's passing, Ella has decided to return to the silver screen. And with the cast and crew of Grad Night in the process of filming a reunion documentary, Ella has the perfect ticket back into Hollywood's good graces. Weighed down by the secret she's been keeping all these years, Ella apprehensively makes the trip to the original set, a cabin in rural Tennessee, to reunite with her castmates for the first time in over a decade. But when the actors begin to meet the exact gruesome fates of their characters they originally played, falling victim to someone dressed as the Grad Night villain, it's clear their secret is out. Now, the question, can the final girl survive one last nightmare? And lastly, we have Don't Let Him In. This is a thriller mystery. Nick Radcliffe is a man of substance and good taste. He has a smile that could melt the coldest heart and a knack for putting others at ease. He's just what Nina Swan needed in her life after her husband's unexpected death. But to Nina's adult daughter, Ash, Nick seems too slick, too polished, too good to be true. Without telling her mother, Ash begins digging into Nick's past. What she finds is more unsettling. Martha is a florist living in a neighboring town with her infant daughter and her devoted husband, Alistair. But lately, Alistair has been traveling more and more frequently for work, disappearing for days at a time. When Martha questions him about his frequent absences, he always has a legitimate explanation, but Martha can't share the feeling that something isn't right. Nina, Martha, and Ash are on a collision course with a shocking truth that is far darker than anyone could have imagined, and all three are about to wish they had heeded the same warning, don't let him in. But the past won't stay buried forever. So those are some books I'm super excited to come out in June. If you have any others you would like to share, you can leave them in the comments. There are obviously more books coming out, more genres. So let me know what you are most looking forward to. If you made it to the end and want to leave me an emoji to say you were here, you can leave me a flower emoji. Once again, if you're looking for other new releases, I have a playlist that you can click on right here with all the new release videos I've done this year. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope to see you very soon. Bye.